join us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Morning. Moines County Board of Supervisors, Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024. Are there any changes to the tentative agenda? I have an agenda. Meet with department heads, elected officials. Sarah Doty, Moines County Auditor.
Good morning. Just getting rooms and stuff set up for ISAC, so if anyone's going to ISAC, let me know. We need to stay both nights, one night. I've heard back from some. Other than that, finishing up budget stuff, getting things going in the office, staying busy as usual. Yeah.
Colin Gertz, IT.
Just keeping busy like always, nothing really new to report.
Thanks, Colin. Kevin Glendenning, Moines County Sheriff.
Good morning. We got our contracts finalized with all of our three contract towns, Mediapolis, Danville, and Middletown. Mediapolis was last night, and we got that approved. The city council up there had nothing but good things, and we're happy to continue with that contract. Same with Danville, that was last week, and Middletown was the week before. So those should all be coming your way. I actually have one of them with me now for Middletown to leave with Sarah for you guys to put on the agenda for next week, but we should see all of them coming in the next week or so. Other than that, we're staying busy. Shane and I had the 911 board meeting last week. We made some headway, I think, on the radio project. Just kind of figuring out how to make those allocations and the best way to spend the dollars that we have available and to improve the radio system. Our jail is at 76 adults, 78 when you count two juveniles, but we have about 3, maybe 4 planning to go to Oakdale on Friday. So we should see that number come down as long as we don't have too many arrests in the meantime.
76.
76, yes. And
How many out of town? Out of county?
8 out of county, and that does not count that's 8 adults. So we still have the 2 juveniles.
The juveniles are in a different budget.
Yep, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I apologize.
One of those juveniles appeared yesterday, and pled, and I believe was sentenced. So we expect court paperwork to come.
These one elsewhere?
Yeah, he should be shipped out here soon. So.
And the cost is $50 a week to house the adults and $190, I mean, a day, $190 a day for the juveniles.
And Henry County went up to $60. We have a couple that are there. It's always a challenge. Like right now, we can hold 68 for more than 24 hours. Right now we're at 67, and we try to shift them around, but sex offenders have to be housed differently. Females obviously have to be housed separately. So it's always trying to find the right balance of those numbers and which unit to put them in. So there's always that constant challenge of trying to shuffle them. But we have some breathing room right now, and when we have 3 or 4 going out at the end of the week, that really helps.
Some years ago, there was discussion of the jail administrator's garage.
Yeah. Better improve it.
He never got back to us on
I was gonna
that.
say, Doug never got back to us.
You could look into Barn on the Ridge.
Yeah. I think we all agree that gym remodel would be the right choice.
Thank you, Sheriff. Jared Lassiter, land use.
Morning. Don't really have much to go over. I think with all the weather lately, people have been keeping quiet and doing any kind of improvements. So we just have a minor subdivision on the agenda today, and I don't have anything else to report.
Thank you. Ken Heineman, Mental Health Agency of Southeast Iowa.
Good morning. Still waiting to see legislation come out for the new behavioral health system that the governor's been talking about. So we thought it would come out this past week, but it hasn't come out yet that I've seen. I have seen HHS send out some district maps, which if this were to go through, it would go from, like our 13 county region would look like an 18 county district. And I don't know what all that would mean. You know, behavioral health and substance abuse would be combined, and it would be different. So we're waiting to see how different it would be when we see the legislation. So that's all I have right now.
You'll have to reach out to Bob Winken and find out how it is to operate a region that large.
Yes, that's right, that's right.
Thanks again.
Uh-huh.
Shannon Prado, Emergency Management Director.
I have been keeping busy also with budgets. I've been getting my classes out of the way that I have to for the state. I'm working on the BRIC grant, which is the hazard mitigation grant that goes along with the updating the hazard mitigation plan. Something I did want to talk about was I did get our weather spotter class scheduled for next month, February 20th, from 6 to 8 p.m. and that will be at the Capitol Theater. The National Weather Service comes down and teaches us how to look at clouds and look at if a storm is coming, how to report it to DESCOM. So it's a good class. It's open to the public. Anybody 10 years and older can attend as long as you have an adult. And yeah, so we're excited about that.
I attended one of those. It is interesting, even if you don't plan to be a weather spotter, just to look around and have a little better idea what you're looking at.
Good knowledge to have for sure.
Thanks, Shannon.
Mm-hmm.
Rodney Bleaster, Maintenance.
Good morning. Just trying to keep up with the weather. The guys have done a pretty good job, so just want everybody to still be careful. I know yesterday was a lot of ice. Everybody anticipated that. Probably not so much today. Figuring everything was clear. You know, it's kind of a little deceiving. Obviously, you could see the ice yesterday, but with the rain, you know, some of the sidewalks and stuff looks clear, but has that shine because you think it's just the rain, but there is some ice out there. So just still be careful of that. Also be mindful of even some things above you, like overhangs of like buildings or I don't know, garages and whatnot, even at home or some of the buildings around here, you know, there's icicles hanging off or some of the snow is moved down and kind of hanging over the edge. So just kind of be mindful of that. Keep an eye when you're walking down the sidewalk. If you see something overhanging, obviously you don't want to be underneath of that. But it's just one of those storms when we had that thick, slushy, wet snow. It just really stuck to some of the areas that you didn't anticipate it, where it usually doesn't stick to, and then froze up, and now it's starting to slide off. So just be mindful of some of that. Other than that, just keeping busy with a lot of different things.
Good advice, thank you. Krista Poggemiller, Public Health.
Good morning. We're also keeping busy. I want to thank Ronnie and his team for coming over and helping us get our cars all dug out and getting the snow and the ice off. I know that was a lot of work and some tough days. It was pretty cold out there. So we've had a new nurse and a new CNA start, so we are fully staffed again. So that's all that we have going on.
Thanks, Krista. Brian Carter, Secondary Roads.
Good morning. I'll lead in, I think like I did a week ago. Thank you to our guys. It's been a mixed bag, but it's been a busy time. So I think every time you turn around, you're back to something else. And so obviously, like Rodney said, there's ice. I don't think that, it might have been a surprise in the morning to some, but it wasn't a surprise for very long because they found it. And I think it's worse today from everything I could tell than it even was yesterday. On the gravels, maybe I should say. The pavements, I think actually we were on top of them yesterday. Actually, our pavements yesterday, it didn't take very long, and you could generally get wherever you needed to go. And they're pretty similar today. Maybe a little slushy, slick in some places, but in general, you could get where you need to go. The gravels they are pretty slick. I mean, I don't even know. I'm not sure there's great terminology to describe it, but be very, very careful if you have to be out driving on gravels because, I mean, it's pretty vicious out there. So the guys are out. They were out, worked yesterday 12 hours on the gravel. Well, they worked 12, everybody worked 12 hours yesterday. Motor graders are out, back out at 5 this morning. So were the trucks for that matter. They did a lot of good yesterday. Unfortunately, it all coated back over. And there is, just as a heads up, there's rain tomorrow morning in the forecast. We're supposed to get another 1/10 of an inch of rain tomorrow about 5 in the morning. So, and we're getting down to right around 32 degrees at night, 33, and I mean, most people look at that and they wanna say that it's, you know, hey, it's gonna be above freezing, but on gravels, it's just, especially at this point in the winter after the cold snap we had, it's a different world. The gravels, I've said it before, the gravels probably are sitting there with probably 2 foot of frost, if I had to guess, and they're kind of, we got snow down both edges so the water can't get off the road, and even if it's not freezing on your driveway, your you know, your approach, your sidewalk, or even the road, a lot of times on the gravel road it will go ahead and freeze because it's basically landing on a freezer more or less, and it will freeze, and it did, and it is. So they're out, they're running. We got plenty of calls. We don't give anybody guarantees on when we'll be there. Everybody, all the guys have miles to cover, a lot of miles to cover, and they're doing it as quick as they can. So,
Brian, as long as we're on this subject, excuse me, but, and I know you do this regularly, you wanna go through why we don't put salt and other
salt and
materials on
sand.
gravel roads, salt,
Yep,
sand.
had that call this morning a couple times too. Well, the long-term answer to that is that the salt will work its way into the actual gravel road and turn it to a gigantic mess come springtime, if not before. So it's actually really, really bad on the long-term life of the gravel road itself. Honestly, it's hard on pavement too. It doesn't obviously turn it to mush and everything, but it certainly doesn't help the long-term life of any pavement either, but we use it. But then you get into the economics of it. The fact is we have every body and every truck we have running pavements right now. And when they're done with that, they're gonna be starting, in fact, they were already starting to work on drainage on our pavements because we have places where there's a couple foot of water because they can't get off the road. So long before you even really get to the whole, it's bad for the road, and it is, it's not good for a gravel road. We've had spots where somebody decided to try to help themselves when they were stuck and they dumped a 5-gallon bucket of salt or whatever salt, you know, ice melt stuff they have, and come springtime, that spot will show up like a sore thumb because it'll change that road's makeup. But we don't have the bodies, we don't have the equipment, and our pavements have to be our top priority. And about the time you take a couple $250,000 plow trucks and put them on their side in a ditch and total them, and you can't get them replaced for another 18 months with the way equipment is right now, you then shortchange the other side of your system, which I think people appreciate the way our pavements are condition-wise. It's, and we don't have, you know, again, then you gotta have the bodies to put in them. Let's say you had an extra 4 plow trucks. Well, I don't have the bodies to put in 4 more plow trucks anyway. So it kind of all rolls together. There's a number of issues, and it's just really not a good equation no matter which direction you look, so.
How about the sand, what's the sand do to it?
Sand won't hurt a gravel
It's just
plane.
economic.
We don't have plain sand at our facility. We don't keep plain sand. When we mix, we actually haul sand in and mix as we are filling back up. So we actually don't keep any plain sand at our facility. Yeah, you could put sand down all you want, that won't hurt anything.
That's an economic thing.
It really becomes a logistic thing. You still, on ice, again, I said it last week, ice is kind of that equalizer. It doesn't matter how big you are, how small you are, when you start sliding towards a ditch, you keep on sliding. And yeah, sand, it's the salt that, or the chloride, either way, that hurts the road itself chemically. As far as the gravel goes, yeah, you could do sand, you could do rock, you could do whatever else. The problem is you don't have the bodies or the equipment to do it. So, and the way budgets are, I don't see that changing anytime soon. So, yeah, you would never, if you were gonna do it, you would never run your regular fleet out there. You would have to have some spare trucks and maybe some spare bodies, and then when you've got, mean, let's face it, over 400 miles of icy gravel road. We have 100 and, I don't remember, 130 miles of paved road. We run 10 trucks, you know, and obviously they stay on those all day long. But the other side of it is logistically, where are you gonna start with that sand or that limestone or the rock or whatever you're talking about? Which hill's worse? Because you got four times the mileage to cover if you're gonna try to do something. So it just, when you really look at big picture, it doesn't, even though when somebody calls in and wants it, they're focused on one spot right there in front of them or underneath them. But your focus has gotta be the entire system, so.
The one part of your budget you didn't mention is the limitations. The Iowa code says you can get $3, up to $3 out of rural services and up to 17 cents out of general basic. And we give you those amounts.
Yep.
The rest of it either comes from the state or you get 50% of the local option sales tax that have to be spent on projects or equipment.
Yeah.
If I'm correct.
I mean, we're very fortunate actually, not all counties give 100% of what they can out of those levy rates, and we're very fortunate that way. I'm biased, but I feel like we do a whole lot of good things with it. But you still have to, your overall makeup of your facility, no different than any other office. I'm sure there's a ton of programs Kevin would love to do, or any other department head would love to do. To some extent, what you do is a reflection of the manpower and the equipment and the finances you have.
In your case, it has to come from another part of your department.
Yeah, so, yeah, it is what it is. I mean, I know it's frustrating, but I mean, I think the overall positive of right now is that it doesn't look like we're gonna be living with this for a month and a half, and I've seen that. I've seen us get ice and then sit with cold temperatures and not be able to do anything about it. If the guys can do, you know, from what I saw yesterday, what they did yesterday actually helped really well, which is not always the case. I mean, there's been times I've seen before where you ran a motor grader through on ice and you didn't know you'd even been there. I mean, it was that tight and that frozen. If it's as productive as it was yesterday, we can't get over all of our gravel roads in one day. But if we're as productive as yesterday, I mean, between today and tomorrow, depending on what tomorrow morning's rain does, because today's rain undid everything we did the day before, they will keep roughing up. But the other side of it is I think today it gets to 35, which with no sun is probably not going to do a bunch of melting, but it certainly won't freeze tight. Tomorrow's 35, but then we slowly, gradually creep up. I think we're pushing 36 or 37 through the weekend, and then next week they actually have sun coming out, and you're talking into the 40s and even pushing 50. Now, at that point, of course, the ice calls will turn to mud calls or soft road calls. I mean, it's an obvious progression that we're going to have, but the point being is that at least with some time here between roughing them up and then the weather, we're gonna come out of this where we're gonna end up with, and I think I said this last week too, I almost cringe worse about where the way spring is going to, or late winter spring is gonna turn out, because there's nowhere for drainage right now. I mean, there's just nowhere for drainage, and I'm sure there's people out there with roof issues or septic issues that are having the same thing. The roads aren't any different. The water right now can't do anything. There's just nowhere to go until we get some melt, until we get that, you know, until that stream of water finally starts making its way somewhere. I know we have pavements this morning that have 1 foot to 2 foot of water all the way across them because it can't get into the intake. The intake's frozen. Yeah, I mean, it's quite the mixed bag for the last, what has it been now, 2.5 weeks, or it all
Seems like
runs
forever.
together. I mean, before all this, weren't we 50? So, I mean, I know there's places underneath the snow where there's no frost. I mean, we came into this with in a pretty mild condition, so hopefully the best case scenario would be some of this water and runoff can soak in, because we need the groundwater anyway, and it'd be better for it to soak in than to sit around and pond and all that, so. But anyway, time will tell, the guys are definitely out, and moving, and like I said, they'll cover ground, they'll do the same thing they did yesterday, it's kinda deja vu, and, I do believe though it is, on the gravels, it's a little worse today than it was yesterday, but yep, they're definitely out and about, and they'll cover ground, and, you know, if we don't get a major setback, I would think, from tomorrow morning's rain, I would think they'll have everything at least covered the first time, sometime by tomorrow, late morning, and then they'll go back and just start over again and just start trying to make it even better. But we were talking this morning, I think everybody's ready to get back to schools being in session and buses able to run and a little bit closer to normal life and stuff like that, so.
Thanks, Brian.
Yep.
Yes, anybody? Correspondence. Either of you gentlemen have any correspondence?
I have none.
I had one from Corey Hill, he lives up on 125th Street, and I think he answered most of the stuff that I was going to address, but it's just about the roads, they're slick, you would like some sand, so anyways.
Yeah, that was a common one, like I said this morning, there was at least a couple calls, well, there's, through the stretch of all this, long before we had ice, we had people demanding salt and sand, so, yeah, we don't do it, and we won't be doing it, so.
Wife and I went out and had dinner last night, had a gentleman say, "Are you in charge of the roads?" And I said, "No, Tom and Shane."
Just give him Shane's number.
I told them them two was in charge of it.
Good answer. I try to direct everything their way too.
That's great. That was good. Okay, so much for correspondence. We'll proceed to discussion and vote. We have payroll reimbursement claims in the amount of $185.55.
Move to approve.
Second.
Sarah?
Shane McCampbell?
Yes.
Jim Carrey?
Yes.
Tom Broker?
Yes. Okay, we have Resolution 2024-6, approving the use of Des Moines County, what's a UI? UEI.
I don't remember what it stands for, but this is a number that Cheryl keeps basically for the entire county. I think, I have so many things that I'm juggling right now, but I think this was linked to it was either to our FEMA deal.
Correct.
Okay, and it's a FEMA thing, and they wanted the road department, they thought we should have our own UEI number. And Becky got a hold of Cheryl, we talked about it, and Cheryl said it was an absolute nightmare to get the one that we have, and recommended we just use it. And I don't have a problem either way, so we're just gonna use it. This resolution, I think we have to provide to FEMA documentation that we're allowed to use it, even though we're part of the county, so it's obviously perplexing, and it's yet another federal.
You're in a separate building, they say. So they
Yeah,
want
so
permission. So
that's all this is.
Conservation's gonna need one next week as well. He asked me about it yesterday, so.
Yep.
Just a heads up.
That's what she said. So anyway, this is you guys approving us using a number that the county already has.
Move to approve.
Second. Sarah?
Jim Carrey?
Yes.
Shane McCampbell?
Yes.
Tom Broker?
Yes. Let's not disappoint FEMA.
And I don't remember what that acronym stands for, so either Cheryl has it or Sarah can get it in her
It's on
office,
my
'cause
desk.
I don't remember. Becky kinda handled it with Cheryl, so.
Unique entity identification.
Makes sense.
Unique entity identification number,
Think so.
thank you.
Thank you,
I know
Sharon.
something.
Hey. I'm glad you know it.
Next time I'm gonna ask Shannon instead of you.
I'm good with that.
Two. Okay, we have a resolution and final plat for the first addition to the Logan Creek subdivision. I think that's you, Jared.
Yep. So this is kind of a misnomer in that it's not actually adding on to the land area of the original subdivision, but it's taking a piece of that one lot subdivision and creating another lot. So basically that's why it's listed as lot 2, and I think I put lot 1 by mistake on the map, but at least it has it's correct on the plat itself. So anyway, this the Logan Creek subdivision happened in the late 90s. They split off a long rectangular lot on the north side of 160th Street, over 30 acres, and the owners subsequently built a house on near the southeast corner of that lot off of 160th, and this subdivision here is meant to split off that house and the surrounding 6 acres and sell that so that can be sold separately from the remaining 26 acres. At the time, I was understanding that when I first set this out, I was understanding that this would be they were planning to sell the remaining 26 acres at auction and keep the house. It sounds like they're actually going to be selling the house as well, but just selling that through a local realtor instead. In any case, the lot that's being split off here, there's no plans for any changes following subdivision, and the other lot, the 26 acres, it's not clear whether that will be developed or not. It's obviously a large acreage of farmland, but conceivably they could build something on that in the future. So that's why we included a condition on the resolution, just acknowledging that if they were to build a house there, they'd need to have a septic system installed and permitted beforehand. Also, in terms of future access, that the remainder of Lot 1 will have about 140 feet of frontage along 160th, which is more than our minimum for subdivisions at 120 feet. So it's a little narrow, but it's comparatively, but it should be sufficient, and it does have its own entrance. So we are including another condition on there, just acknowledging that no new entrances will be allowed by the county going forward, but as it stands, both this Lot 2 and the remainder of Lot 1 already have a dedicated entrance going forward that they can continue to use. So with that, we would recommend approval of first edition of Logan Creek.
Thank you, Jim. Motion to approve.
Second.
Sarah?
Stephen Campbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes. We'll get these signed for you after the meeting, Jared. Okay. We have approval of a contract for Des Moines County Highway 99 Bridge, H14, blank, 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 blank.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of summarize both of the next 2 items because they kind of run together. I've been referring to ARPA bridges for a long while now, since ARPA became a term, I guess, or at least a little while after that, once we knew our plans. That's what these 2 bridges are. I actually am gonna take the moment to give credit to my office staff. I think I way too easily overlook what they do and how much stuff gets done. You know, we talk about snow and ice, and when you actually have a project going on, it's easy to see that construction, but there is a ton of work, years of work that go behind the scenes of almost any project you see get done, and that doesn't happen without everybody in my office, and I mean everybody, to some extent, from beginning to end. And so while all this stuff's going on, we're talking about winter, they're cranking along, trying to get things ready for this spring, this summer. We're already working on 2025 and 2026 stuff. And so credit to them. So what these are 2 bridges. The first one is, item D is the bridge on Highway 99. And the second one is the bridge on Upper Flint. We've talked about these to a great length, but.
This is the bridge to the far north of 99.
Yes, the far north end. The last bridge on 99 that we haven't touched in some way. We've replaced all of them but one. One was a kind of a full-blown rehab type deal. And they need done desperately. Just because of their conditions, and we truly don't have the money in our other accounts to go after these, so I'm thrilled that this worked out. Yeah, we don't know timing yet from the contractor. They'll be back in touch with us. I think the late start date for both of these is in June. I don't remember the exact date. So the goal is to have them both open before harvest. We had 2 bidders on each of these, so on this one, on the first one you're going, well, I guess that I'm gonna recommend you approve. It's this one. Bear Creek, yeah. The first one, the low bidder came in at $942,701.67. I know both of our main media folks are watching from home instead of playing on the ice, so I'm happy to send them this number if they don't get the audio well enough. And that came in just a shade under the engineer's estimate, which these days is a win. Compliments to our consulting firm, and their estimates came in, just a little over 10 grand under the estimate. So I won't complain about that, because I've seen them go a lot higher than that these days. And then since before we jump into the next one, I'll just tell you the second one's on Upper Flint, and it came in, the low bidder was $981,448.03, and that came in a little over $98,000 under the estimate. So all told, I think we were like 108 underneath the estimates between both of them. I think the total of both projects is just, I don't know, slightly more, I wanna say 20 or 30,000 more than what we project to have for ARPA funds available. So that's also, I think, a best case scenario at the moment. Now, as with any project, whether it be public health having a change order along the way of that construction project, which requires more ARPA money, or whether these bridges have a change order, which will happen between one or the other, or both, or whatever we want to talk about. Obviously, those numbers will change a little bit, but in the end, ARPA funds will cover a majority of these projects, and we will eat up the balance out of our secondary roads budget. So I would recommend approval of both of these, and when I have a better idea of timing, I will let you guys know. And we will also send out some, at least local residential letters, so that the locals know what's going on. There'll be signage when we do it and everything else, but anyway, yeah.
I move to approve the 99 bridge H-14 LFM.
Second.
Sarah?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes.
Now that you went over it, I move to approve the Upper Flint Bridge FR11 LFM.
I'll second that too.
Sarah?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yeah.
Tom Broker.
Yes.
The nice thing about this is, it's not gonna cost the Des Moines County taxpayer
Amen to that.
anything. That's great.
It's
all infrastructure.
We would not have done both these bridges without the board making this commitment. They both need to be done. I would say both these bridges, we're probably not all that far off in their future from having to be posted, which they both are pretty major links. One is a pretty major link to the ethanol plant and to Highway 61, and the other is a major link to, whether you wanna call it Tri-Oak up in Loiza County, or whether you wanna go to the elevators once you get south Meekers or even down to Burlington. They're both major links for the agricultural sector, so keeping these two from being posted are a really big thing. So they'll be inconvenient, they'll probably be closed for 3 or 4 months when we do it, but yet again, hopefully for the next 60 or 70 years, nobody has to mess with it, so.
Well, 70 years from now, I don't think too many of us will be around here to see, so.
Probably true, but we'll walk away knowing we did as good as we could have.
Colin might,
We have a letter of support for the Mississippi River Parkway Commission for Iowa. Commission reached out to the board, asked us to look at the letter of support, so this goes to our local legislators. We are representing Des Moines County, writing in support of the Iowa Mississippi River Parkway Commission, which has been cited as one of the organizations for elimination and review by the governor's office. The Parkway Commission is a national organization which was started by Joe Young of Bellevue, Iowa, who outlined the Great River Road and worked with President Roosevelt to have the road achieve national designation in the 1930s. The route, which is on both sides of the Mississippi and has representatives from the 10 counties in Iowa which border the river, draws tourists from all over the world. Effective 2 years ago, the Great River Road now has the status of an all-American road, much like the Natchez Trace Parkway and the Big Sur Highway. This is a status designated by the Federal Highway Administration. To receive this status, the road must meet criteria for at least 2 intrinsic qualities that are nationally significant. The Great River Road meets all 6 and must have one-of-a-kind features that do not exist elsewhere, and it must be considered a destination unto itself. The efforts of the Parkway Commission were responsible for the identification, initiation, and completion of the required application and supporting items for the Great River Road to receive this designation. With a small cost of $40,000 a year in budget, the Commission helped bring in $1 million in federal funding on a single project this year alone. The Cascade Bridge project in Burlington, Iowa, as well as encouraging visitors along the east coast of Iowa to visit, learn, and stay. The success attracting tourism dollars to the 10 counties of Iowa's east coast are easily seen when the county on the river is compared to the next county to the west. The difference is quite dramatic. We understand the need to condense and simplify things at the state level and how some commissions do not function very well at all. The Iowa Parkway Commission meets on a regular quarterly basis, visits, promotes our interpretive centers, local tourism attractions, and provides the interface between the Iowa organization and the National 10-State Parkway Commission. All 10 county commissioners are governor-appointed volunteers who serve without compensation. We want to make sure you know and understand the history along the Great River Road, its national importance, and what the commission does for the state of Iowa regarding the road and its economic impact. Very truly yours, the Des Moines County Board of Supervisors.
Motion to approve the letter of support.
Second.
Sarah?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
I'm going to take a break and not say anything for a minute. We have 3 personnel actions for local health. We have Bridget Davis, a new hire full-time nurse effective January 16th, annual salary of $54,273.03. We have Ingram McQuillan, a certified nurse aide, 20 hours unpaid, January 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 8 hours on January 8th, 2024. And we have Ingram McQuillan, a certified nurse aide, resignation, effective January 16th, 2024.
I move to approve all 3.
Second.
Sarah?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes. reports. We have the Clerk of Courts report of fees collected in December 2023, the Dewey Fire Trust. Both of these reports will be on file at the auditor's office and available for public review at your convenience. We have minutes for the regular meeting of January 16th, 2024.
Motion to approve minutes?
Second. Sarah?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes. Need to canvass the results of Two Rivers Levy and Drainage District election. Like we have 7 voters. That's, I can look at 7 here if you want to check my math. Well, there's only 7 of them, so
Do we have to
I
skip
have
those?
enough fingers. Okay, we have Brent Frank with 7 votes for the trustee. I might not have those all together in the same
That's
order
okay.
that I got them in. Sarah, is there anything you want to add?
Vicky Stoller brought in her replacement to meet us the other day, Reed Wagenbach. Very nice guy, he's got a lot to learn, so he'll be sitting with her for quite a while. Other than that, not really.
I talked to Vicky, I met with her last week, and she's actually coming to our office this week for a little bit, and she was
Yeah.
gonna try to either come to a board meeting or reach out to the board individually and introduce you guys to Reed and,
She is gonna bring him in next
okay,
for the board meeting.
talk to you about that.
She's kinda taking him around to places a little at a time, just to kinda introduce him to people.
How long are they planning for that transition?
I think it's really
She's still
more
gonna
Vicky's
stay in the
call.
office part-time, but it's gonna take her a little while to get him trained on everything and.
And I don't think Vicky's in a rush to
She's not
get
in a
out,
huge rush
she's kinda
either.
scaled back to kind of sort of part-time as it is,
Yeah.
and so I don't think there's a time period on it.
Good. If there's anybody to learn from, it's Vicky.
No doubt.
Yeah, and I think they know that, I think that board knows that, and they wanna keep her as long as they can.
Yeah.
But it was important they started this, cause she's been talking about walking away for a while.
Okay, I would entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the results of the canvas.
Second.
Sarah?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes. Any other business?
I have none.
I have none. Committee reports. For future agenda items. Committee reports.
Community Action Board of Directors. We had an audit, no findings. Community Action is doing good. At landfill or Regional Solid Waste Commission, we elected new officers and we had discussed a raise. I was locked in at 3.2. They were locked in at 3.8. And we had an E911 board meeting, and KG already brought that up, but we're looking to wrap this up so we can get our new consoles and radios, and I think we're in good shape to move forward with that. So make sure that we've got good communication. Was at 99? What percentage is that we want? Was it?
95% is the industry standard.
And
We're in the 70s.
So we're working toward that. We want to make sure that everybody can communicate for emergencies. It's important. So we had a self-reliance meeting, and that's not actually a board that I'm on for the county, but they're doing some things. They want to coordinate with Community Action and with the Veterans Affairs. So it's just just another arm, you know, in the community that wants to try to make a difference. That's all I've got.
I had a meeting with early childhood, and we're kind of in the same position you are, Ken. You know, we're talking about behavioral and all that, and that's what they're working on this issue. We still don't know where we're at on that. What for sure, funding's gonna be cut, you know, if we're gonna get more funding. So
Yeah, a lot of people are being affected, ADAs and early
Yeah.
childhood, yeah.
So, we're a little concerned on that. Afraid some of them might fall through the cracks, but, hopefully not. Hopefully these people up in Des Moines will see that we've got a problem, you know. That's, I don't have any more to report on that, and we just have to wait to see what they pass up in Des Moines.
I have none, so. Brings us to public input. If anybody from the public would like to address the board, you can email the Board of Supervisors at board@dmcounty.com, that's BOARD@dmcounty.com, or you can call 319-753-8203 extension 4, that's 319-753-8203 extension 4. We'll give you 2 minutes to initiate that email or that call. In the meantime, is there anybody in attendance that has any public comment?
Do we have final numbers on insurance premium costs,
For
budget-wise? for the
ICAP? Or you mean health insurance?
Health insurance.
No,
The 31st.
the 31st, the 31st.
Awful quiet out there.
Colin, Rodney, Brian, does next week work for closed sessions for your contracts?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
I don't know why it wouldn't.
okay.
Gives you a week for the ice to melt, Brian.
Yeah. It's been good being here.
Boy, this is boring. We only need 2 minutes.
Surprised Bob doesn't call in.
You only got 46 seconds left, though.
Bob was hoping we closed the courthouse and didn't have a meeting.
Yeah.
He didn't want to get out on the ice, which I didn't blame him.
I don't blame him a bit.
And yeah. Again, probably the smarter way to go for him.
Yeah, I salted my driveway yesterday, and it was salted, but you know that, didn't put enough on it, still slick this morning when it back slid out.
My driveway is still snowpacked. I mean, it's a gravel driveway on a gravel road, and the road itself was actually better than the driveway. That snowpack was just a complete sheet of ice. I had to drive kind of on the side where I have all the snow, so I didn't slide off into the side. Just really, really slick on that snowpack.
Well, 2 minutes is up, believe it or not.
2 minutes is up. With an aye, we're adjourned.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Y'all have a great day. We have a work session with community action and the budget director in about 5 minutes. be careful out there.
Do you know how
Okay. Lisa, would you introduce yourself for the record?
I'm Lisa Naxiger with Community Action Southeast Iowa. I'm the center director and have been working with the general relief funds for the last couple of years.
And disaster.
Oh, and lots of other fun stuff, but yes, I am a disaster for the state of Iowa.
Okay. Thank you. This is your budget hearing, so you can start wherever you want.
So we have been working with the Des Moines County General Relief Funds for the last couple of years and have found that the clients that we serve, because of the nature of the work that we do with our federal and state contracts, we get to know so much information about the clients that we almost know too much to be able to help them within the guidelines that you have set at the county. So I have joined an organization of different general relief groups that help supervisors, that work with supervisors money from around the state, and have kind of been budgeting or looking at their policies to see if there's a way that we could help spend the money that you have set aside in your budget with just making a few changes to the parameters and the rules of which you allow. As you can imagine, all over the state, the rules are different by county, all over the place. But Sherry Wilson, our executive director, and I sat down and have kind of just penciled out a few things that we proposed and sent to Shane this week, so hopefully he shared those with you, about changes that we'd like to see made to be able to make an impact and be able to spend this money appropriately and really help some of the population in Des Moines County with your budget dollars. The biggest obstacle that we have right now is obviously housing. There is such a loophole of funds available to be able to help people who are facing eviction, and the $20,000 that you have in your budget would save, on average, 25 households from getting evicted every month. I mean, this month. I mean, the 25 households is all we could probably help with, the $20,000 that you have, but if that's 25 people we could keep housed for another month and work with them to stay housed, it would be a huge, huge impact. The guidelines that you have set in your policies for percentage of poverty doesn't really match up with our agency, because we help really the poorest of the poor, and I think you're even a couple steps behind that. So if we would just take some baby steps and work towards the changes that Sherry has suggested in her policies, I think we would come a long ways and really be able to spend your money in a very efficient and effective manner for the citizens of Des Moines County.
I was, when we went with Community Action, went to 2 years ago, whatever, and we were hopeful because it would be a one-stop shop and other things. This is, but it's about through this. This is an unanticipated benefit that you would be able to use that budget in a more efficient way to get to people that really need it, and that's the reason it's there.
Right.
So I appreciate your efforts at this and bringing it to us.
Good. Did you happen to pay attention to the cremation part? That's one of the things.
I did, and there's several numbers there, and I know we're at 900.
So we are the lowest. Des Moines County has the lowest reimbursement in the state of Iowa, which is here nor there, doesn't affect me one way or the other. But that is one thing I would love to see Des Moines County kind of
And like I said, if we stay in budget, I don't. My personal experience is I've been chewed out about that, not even necessarily in our own county. I went to a function in another county a couple years ago, and a funeral director corners me, and he says, "Are you a county supervisor?" I said, "Not here." And he proceeded to tell me, all the troubles with the county was in there, and he was mostly talking to a wall. I wasn't his supervisors, and I know those individuals, they do great work and they're necessary, and there are always complaints and stuff. So, and I guess I don't know that I really have any particular, as long as whether it would be the 2,000 down to the 1,000 for Muscatine County. You can talk to us about that. I don't know that. I guess I don't have a real strong opinion of that. Like I said, if we're within budget, but if we're not
Right.
using it because of the rules,
We're not using it a lot because of the rules, because,
Yeah, yeah.
So, the only reason I feel like it's really the funeral homes here in the county, it's probably their job to come here and be an advocate to you, to talk to you.
they've been here a number of years ago, once or twice.
So I feel like and again, I'm just speculating on the conversations I've had with them. They don't want to rock the boat and lose the funds altogether, because they know that it's their responsibility to help cremate some of the poor of the county, whether they get reimbursed or not. And I think they do way more for free than we know about.
And if they do it for free, they end up on their shelves.
I mean, I don't know, again, it's not.
That's what happens,
It's not.
is the urn ends up on their shelf, and nobody gets it until,
Somebody pays them.
unless somebody pays them.
I don't really have a dog in that fight. It's hard for me when, I mean, I don't think that, there's a lot of things in my job that are not really my specialty, and dealing with death and families who are at their absolute lowest point in life, reaching out to figure out a way to take care of their family member. When I have to call the funeral home and say, kind of plead their case and try to figure out a way to make this work, and it's like, they're only gonna get $900 anyway, so they don't care if we approve it or not. The funeral home just doesn't care, they're like, whatever, if you can do it, great, if not, we'll figure out a way. So it's like, it would help my relationships with serving some of these people and give them a little bit more dignity back as they face, I don't know.
What's that? I
It's
don't have
such
any
a
problem,
tough-
I don't have any problem with that, that's why you're here and I'm listening.
And Sherry's suggestion was 1,500, but I don't care what number you do. If I can just go to the funeral homes with a number and say, hey, look, this is where we are for the budget, let's try to,
I was at least 12, but I was gonna wait to see what you guys said about that, though.
I have no dog in the fight, I don't.
What's the range? You said we're the lowest, so you obviously have an idea, at
Yeah.
least in the area, of what the range is.
Jefferson County pays $2,000 for cremation, or they also let them, if the family wants to bury their family member, they also pay another $450 towards cemetery cost. Muscatine County pays $1,000 for cremation, actually, they don't even all require cremation, and she doesn't have this in these notes, but I do have them all on my computer if you want more information, but. So Muscatine County, $1,000, Wapello County, $1,200, Washington County, $2,000, and Louisa County just recently raised theirs to $1,500. So that's, because Louisa County is close, I think that's why she chose that number, just because, I don't know, maybe because Cindy's on our board there, I don't know.
You don't have what Lee County paid? You don't know
I
what
think
they
they're
paid?
1,000.
1,000, that's what I thought.
But they also have some different guidelines and stipulations, so there's not a lot of cremations being approved. From what I learned at the meeting, I don't think they do a lot of cremations. And the need is huge. I mean, I'm a Lee County resident, and I can tell you the need is huge, but.
And I was here when we approved the cremations, and we weren't the only county. We were in some financial straits, and I forget what, that we could get a cremation at that time when we talked to funeral homes. And I think at that time they mentioned, of course, this was probably 2011 or 2012. And I don't think at that time they cremated, but we agreed to pick up $900 for cremation and started doing that. Now, I don't think that they cremate infants. I think they
Luckily,
picked
have
up.
one of those.
No, I'm just saying, I think with $900, I think the funeral homes pick up the difference on that. They just didn't wanna do that.
Right.
And, I'm not sure about, veterans. It's been long enough, I can't remember.
I don't know either, and we would just call Ken if, I don't know.
But if we were going to loosen up, cause if we're not using it, I couldn't figure that out, but like you said, you know enough about everyone that, that this person doesn't fit it, and I know those regulations are tight. The only personal interaction I had was several years ago. A nursing home reached out to Ken, he was with General Assistance, and he had him contact me, and they had a guy, heartbreaking story, and a lot of them were heartbreaking stories, but anyway, his parents had abandoned him, and then he was a ward of the state, whatever, anyway. And so, the only person that had ever been nice to him, I think, was his grandmother, and they wanted to, I don't remember the whole thing, but anyway, so he didn't meet because I think he got Social Security disability or something like that, so he didn't meet it. And anyway, and you can get approval of the general assistance. Well, they called me and talked to me enough anyway, so I told Ken, go ahead and approve that. Or I said, I'll write you a letter to that effect, so that would be my
We've
recommendation.
done that a couple of times, we sent out
Yeah,
stuff for you guys to
okay.
look at, just because there's,
Yeah.
somebody who's getting $12,000 a year for disability,
Mhm.
there's not any possible way that somebody with that income level can pay their rent, their utilities, buy groceries, and still put away a little bit of money to bury themselves or cremate themselves when they pass away. There's just not, so having that Social Security as an obstacle or a barrier to keep them from being qualified for your funds would free up the opportunity for us to be able to use your funds in a way that would help make a huge impact.
And
Does the funeral home apply for that $250,000 or $250 above, off of,
Not to us.
Social Security?
Oh, I don't know.
Cause I know that, there's $250 there for burial.
Having something like with the income guidelines that we talk about with somebody who gets food stamps and penalizing them from the opportunity to help them pay rent just because they're getting food to feed their kids or their family through the month with maybe $200 in food stamps, just seems like a shot in the foot, because we're really just putting a little bit of stuff to help that family move forward, and we're so close to being able to help them. I would
It's
just
like I
love.
get a little help, I'm being punished for getting little
Yeah.
helps. Right.
So I would love to be able to do that. And I promise you, and Shane looks at our financials and knows exactly the way that we spend our money, that the only obstacle, or the only thing that I will say with, we won't blow through this money except for rent. I think during this winter, people coming off the COVID funds from the last couple of years, we see homeless people. We're getting ready to do that point in time count with Iowa Finance Authority. It's in this, it might be, if the sheriff was still here, might be this week. So it's the coldest day in January, and we can only usually report about 5 homeless people in Burlington or Des Moines County, and I promise you there's 40 or 50 that we won't be able to find and count. But if we could prevent some more of those homeless situations with using this money through this horrible winter stuff, holy cow, would that make a huge impact? Huge impact. And 25 people, you think, oh, that's not that much, but when there's 25 people sitting in front of you throughout the year, pleading their cases or sleeping in their car or telling you the porch they're sleeping on tonight and where they hope to go to tomorrow night, and they're gonna get kicked out of the library, they know by 5, and the depot by 9, and I mean, it's just unbelievable. I'm so naive, I had no idea the impact of the homeless that we have, and this would make a huge difference if you would loosen up those income guidelines just a little bit.
well, if you're still operating within that budget, I don't have a problem with that.
I can be as transparent with you as one, I mean, we could run reports, Shane sees reports that I give to the board every month that shows the demographics of the people that we help. And I promise you, it's all above the board, there's no favors being done for anybody on the streets.
And I didn't intend even for it to sound like.
Oh, gosh, no, not at all.
But that's the reason we have this.
Absolutely.
And I've been told a couple of times, by people other than that requirements were really, really tight, and they've been there for a long, long time. I know that. But like I said, if it doesn't have a budget impact, I don't have any problem with loosening up the requirements to.
I love these.
I don't either.
I think that's gonna get her done.
So can I write the changes and then submit it back to you, the changes that she proposed, and submit that back to you, or is that something you guys write up those changes?
Oh, I prefer you did.
Sherry's got them saved on her computer, so I'm sure she could
Yeah,
put
yeah.
them in
if
there. I mean, we
you
didn't
do
even take
that,
out,
that-
it still shows Ken's office, or his old office is in.
Right,
Cause
right.
I didn't know if we were supposed to update it, or if you guys were gonna, I wasn't really sure, so.
Yeah, no, I would just assume that you
Okay.
you update that, like I said, if we've got money in the budget, that's what it's for. And, if the rules don't allow you to use it, then we need to look at the rules.
Because of the energy assistance applications, that's why we know too much. Because in order to spend that $6 million in Southeast Iowa helping people pay utility bills, we have to get tax returns and bank statements, and we know so much about the clients that I think the other office just could ask the question, do you get this? And if the client said, nope, they had no way to prove they didn't already get disability. But because of the situation we're in, we know too much, and that's why I say we know too much. Just because in order to spend the $6 million, we have to get all in their business and know everything about, and I say know everything, but know everything they report. So I'm pretty confident that we could make an impact.
I think we've got the best community action in the state of Iowa. I personally do. I see how you guys, I see how we spend the money, you know, the services that are offered, what you guys are doing. And I do like the changes. I think that's gonna lock everything for, so that we can get that money spent and help out as many people as possible. Really, I'm very satisfied with it. And I was, with the cremation though, I was at 1,200. I wasn't sure if everybody wanted to go to 15, but I definitely wanted to increase that. And I was, just throwing that out there, gentlemen, I was at,
You tell
up to
us,
$1,200
I
or something.
don't have a dog in the fight, don't, I just,
You know, still, I definitely know, when both my wives died, my mother died, $250 they applied to go to the funeral expense, and it went right to the undertaker. And that's to help with funeral expense, so I know that plus this $900, you might check on that to make sure, but it's
Okay.
embedded in my mind that they're getting another $250 on top of this $900.
I would assume that Lunning and Prue are the two that we work with the most, and I would guess they're pretty savvy. But I will
Yeah.
definitely follow up with Rochelle at Lunning, and I can't remember who my contact is at Prue, but
Well, I've got an niece that's funeral director, so I'm gonna call her up and
Yeah,
ask her
do.
this afternoon.
they're pretty savvy. I mean, and
But-
the quote that they give me for what cremation services cost, if I walked in today to cremate a family member, it's about $4,500. So they're writing off the difference of that. And I don't know how much of that is expense and how much of that is income, I have no idea, I didn't ask for their breakdown of that, but, so I know there is a big gap there, and
Well, I'm not denying them that $250, I think that
Absolutely.
helps going in, that's why they were still
Absolutely.
$900, because
absolutely.
there's probably write-offs to them, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you tell me what number to put in there and I'll put that one in there.
Cheryl, you got any thoughts?
My only question is are we just gonna move the same numbers that we have now in the current year budget over to next year's budget? Yes.
That's what it looks like to me.
I can tell you what a cremation costs in Edwardsville, Illinois, $2,200. So, that's a big community down there, that's for an indigent person.
Maybe they have more competition. I mean, I don't know, I don't know what, I
I
mean, no one
don't
would
know.
cause that.
Part of that 4,500 is a service though, it's not the cost of the cremation
Sure.
only.
Oh, sure.
But
That
back
makes sense.
to CMAX, so what number, did you see a number on there for cremation that you feel comfortable with? I mean, you see the numbers too as well.
I just say, I know those other counties that you mentioned that are comparable, they're probably gonna come down on theirs, just talking
Right.
to them about their budgets because
Sure.
of the new state rules, and they've just lost a lot of their levy rate, so.
If you keep
know.
it the way, that's
I
totally
mean, it's you
fine.
guys'
Yeah,
decision,
I'm not, I
totally.
really, not
I
trying
mean-
to change, I just
As
saw that and I was
we
like,
As long
had-
as we can stay within that budget.
Yeah, that's my thought.
and so if you did raise it and we blew through it so fast, then next year, I'm assuming we do this annually, that would certainly be a number to look at and talk about to say,
Well, once you raise it, you're not gonna lower it.
No.
Funeral homes aren't gonna let you do that.
See, that's,
What about raising it to 1,000, because it has been 900 for quite a while?
It's been 900 for a long time.
I'd go with 1,000, I won't go with 1,200.
Thomas? It's okay with me.
There you go.
'Cause I wanna see where we're gonna be at, you know.
we'll be able to prove, if I can not deny somebody because of their disability status or their social security status,
And that's gonna help, you'll be able to,
Yep.
you'll be able to apply that to more funerals.
Yeah.
If the rules are loosened up a little bit.
So when those applications come in, as we get to the bottom of those budget dollars, typically my specialists at the centers take the applications, and then I either approve or deny them once they show up on my desk. But as we get to the end of that budget dollar, typically what we do is have a powwow with the executive director and the finance person to kind of,
So you're gonna bring her to a,
yeah, because that's gonna be interesting when we get, because we have never went out before, and we will this year. So we'll definitely be on top of that, keep in touch.
sounds good. I'd rather have that problem than having money still left over there, and not helping the people that we want to do.
Let me ask you a question. And Cheryl, tell me if I'm out of school here. And the big things of the housing,
Yes.
I don't think you've gone over the budget if you spend less on funerals and a little more on housing. Would that be correct,
That's
Cheryl?
correct, you don't have
So
to
we can move it
stay,
in.
yes.
It's so if in other words, so
As
if
long
this
as your
year,
total budget doesn't go over, you can take from one area
One category,
and,
okay.
and
so if,
we don't have to move the money or anything,
Okay.
as long as your total dollar amount doesn't go
Okay.
over.
That's
so
good to know.
if this year you needed extra for the housing, and you weren't using it for funerals or something else, what, like you said, you know more about it than we do, so if this year's a little different than other years, or next year, or whatever, something like that, you can move a little bit money here or there.
Okay.
This is gonna be a bigger deal this year, or that's gonna be a bigger deal next year, and we'll, cause we're gonna look at the bottom now,
Sure.
is what's gonna go through our budget.
Do you want reports throughout the year to look at how we are and going with that? Because I don't think we've been giving you reports.
We pay your claims, so we can
Oh,
pull
that's
up
right, so
your
you can
reports
see.
anytime.
That's
you
right,
want.
because you don't pay it up front. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And speaking of that, you haven't asked for much money for your pantry, your food pantry. I think you've only asked for like $400.
I remember
this year.
discussing that last year.
So we have to have an invoice in order
Right.
to send you the money, so.
Well, we buy
that
food
might
every
be-
week, so I can pull that out and send those to you.
Yeah, that might be an area that you can pull some money that you, got quite a bit sitting there, I think, this year still, so.
Is there a deadline when I need to spend it by?
June 30th. Gotta hit, once June 30th hits, that money's
We've
gone.
gotta have it in time to,
Yeah, so.
a couple weeks before that, or, so that, that check can be assigned to that fiscal year if we,
We had a $20,000 grant that hit us, or was given to us in November. Somebody else during an emergency, ESFP, Emergency Food Shelter Program grant from the
Yep.
state of Iowa gave money back. And so we spent it so well, they said, do you want another $20,000 to spend by December 31st?
Wow.
Absolutely.
I'm on that
Fairway and
board.
Hy-Vee love me.
Yes.
We were able to spend that, and the
Nice.
food bank as well, but it's just hard to spend $20,000 when you spend 14 cents on a can of soup. So we had to buy some locally, which was great.
Well, that's great.
So we did spend that. So now it'll be a lot easier for me to do, because I
Yes.
was really working to spend it.
Yeah,
But the shelves are empty today, so
it's a good time to
Yeah.
ask for more money.
I'll go straight there when I leave here to see what we need.
Just send us an invoice.
Okay. I'll probably buy a lot of meat. Okay. Awesome.
sweet.
So $1,000.
Yeah, you've only spent $400 of your $7,200 budget for food and provisions.
Okay. So
So-
provisions could be hygiene as well.
Yeah, sure.
That's a big thing we have some homeless kits that we give out, because they can't, we need a can opener, soup, some things that they can just go on the run with and take a
those homeless kids are nice, man.
Doesn't look like on your utilities you spent much either, have you?
Somebody has, I would say, over half of our clients have disability or social security disability, so
Yeah.
they didn't qualify for your funds. We will be able to spend it, the biggest thing we'll be able to spend it on this week, if this is approved, is water.
Yeah.
Since the LIWAP, the water program in the state is over, we get water requests daily.
Wow.
The water department hates us. They just hate us. We haven't been able to help hardly anybody with water since that program ended.
Well, if where does it agrees with me, just Well, your last budget's been certified. So I guess we can tell you, the reason it's on there, and we're just giving you guidelines on how it could be spent. So if there's something, like you said, what, you could use it this week, that budget's already been certified.
As long as the guidelines change so they can spend it.
Yep. Right, yep, and so you'll, if you wanna change the guidelines, I would be hard pressed to suspect that we're going to, throw those out when you send them to us. Because like I said, we're gonna look at the, X number of dollars at the bottom of that, so if you change the guidelines for this service or that service, we aren't gonna know what that means anyway.
So if I get these changes to you by the end of this week, you'll officially vote to approve them next month, or how does that work?
Give it by the end of the week, we can vote on next week.
Next week, okay.
If you give them to Sarah by Friday.
That's
10 a.m. Friday.
Might be able to do it today, but just,
So is it just the changes that she has highlighted in here? Is that all you're changing? Okay.
yeah. And then we'll take out their name and put our.
Yep, which I think she has that all
Yeah.
highlighted too, so,
So I think she
okay.
has to just click something real
Yep.
fast and make that happen.
And then maybe add the guidelines in there
Okay.
for poverty level, just so that way it's attached with everything. Which that's something we'll have to probably change every year, obviously,
Right.
but that's not a big deal.
Oh,
Then that way
Right
everything's
on.
together and, yeah, if I have it by the end of this week, then we
We-
can approve it Tuesday, the
I'll-
30th.
Sooner, hopefully, but.
Yeah,
I think
Yep.
we'll see how that, yeah, no, oh yeah, it was the first year too.
Anything else you wanna talk about?
I think we're good.
Awesome, well,
I don't know where we're good, I think
I'm
you're good.
excited, I'm very excited, I think that,
I'm glad we clarified a couple of things about your budget, where it doesn't all have to,
yeah,
it's that bottom number.
well, you'll see a lot of housing, and I'll spend food money.
It'd be nice to see those guys off the streets.
Oh, last night, we had a guy that, one of the employees was leaving our central office, where we really don't do client work. And, one of my employees was leaving at 5 o'clock, so we close at 4:30. Homeless guy snuck in when the door hadn't quite shut yet. 2 of us are in the office. The mental health problem with so many, we had nowhere to send him. I mean, there was nothing for us to do with him. And last night wasn't as cold as the night before, but I'm like, where'd you stay the last 3 nights? Well, he hid in the library and stayed one night when it was so cold over the weekend. I'm telling you, he left a smell, cause he stunk in our office when we left. There's 5 of those on a daily basis that we will not be able to house, cause there's just nothing. There's no way they can pass a background check, there's no way they can come up with first, last, and current rent. This guy has 23 felonies, but he's mentally ill. His felonies are felonies, but it wasn't his intent to do what he did, I don't believe. He just didn't know any better. It's gonna be an interesting year for homelessness.
Thanks,
Okay,
Lisa.
thank you.
Thanks, Lisa,
You
thank you
bet.
very much for coming down.
You
The
bet.
state closed all these mental institutions around, and that was sad.
You know, a lot of those folks are living at Autumn Heights right now.
I know. Oh, and we talk to them every day.
Yes, I bet you really do, man.
Have a
See
good
you,
one.
ladies. Appreciate
You
it.
bet.